before we get back and start working in the foreground, let's get back to the reference. And this is something that I want to achieve in our foreground element. I want this island to be to have these rice fields in one part of this. I think it's really interesting to have like these steppy plantations in one part. I also would love to have like this kind of rocky faces, this kind of beaches like this, you know, like, and between the rock faces we have like this beach. I saw there is a reference here that I really like, for example this one. See, like this kind of very steepy cliff, some rocks, some vegetation, and then this white sand beach. This is the path that we're going for. I also like this situation where you have like this lagoon inside and the rocky, and then we can play with maybe some houses there, or even in the water. So that's the general idea that I'm looking for in these foreground elements. So let's dive in and let's start playing with the foreground terrain. One thing that I want to show you that I forgot to mention is just in the hide filter road you have like this freeze at frame, and then I put like in the 13, so then when we play with the slider here of our timeline, it wouldn't affect the terrain. Otherwise every time you play with this it's going to recalculate, and so always freeze that frame, and then we are safe and read faster. So let's go. One thing that I want to bring to our scene, it's when you're playing with oceans or terrains and all that, one thing that normally happens is that you actually, it's really hard to tell the scale of this. So sometimes you make a beach, and then when you look to the beach it's 1 meter wide, or it's like 50 meters wide, and it's not exactly what you would expect. There is a few ways of playing with scale. For normally I used to have like a human reference, but for this what I think it's the best way is to have a boat, sailboat, like a 40 feet more or less sailboat, so you have the mast and have more or less, you understand the scale of the project. So let's bring the boat. So we have like this reference scale. I have a proxy file with a boat that I made, so it's much easier. So let me just put like boat ref, and inside here I have my library. I think it's an add cg store boat placeholder. Okay, so here we have the boat, and instead of bounding box, let's change it to mesh. So here it is. So now we see the scale of this cliff, big cliffs in the background, and that's a really good way of understanding our scale. Okay, so now that we have this, let's start playing with the foreground terrain. So let me rename this to BG HF. You just need to rethink, because sometimes just use the name of the geometry. So let's put like a HF again. So this is the FG, like foreground HF, and let's place the camera so we have like, okay, so here is the terrain. I think I'm going to bring it more towards the camera. Let me place the camera here, and first thing I'm going to transform, HF transform. Oh, okay, so translate in Z, I think, yeah, like 2000, oh, 2000, yeah, even maybe 3000. Yeah, I think it's good to have it here. And then I need to move the boat as well. So let's get the boat And let's change our boat. Let's transform the boat itself. Where is our little guy there? Okay, not this one. Okay, this one. Okay, so here's our boat, just for us to have this reference. Let me lock the camera, come back here. We have this camera very high at 134 meters. Let's bring it down to 10. So yeah, I want to make it like come closer to us, this, and the boat also, show the boat as well. Yeah, so let's leave the boat in here for the moment. We don't need to worry with this now. Let's create a mask for this area, and as we worked a lot in a procedural way, because we're working all these islands at the same time, in this one we can actually be a bit less procedural and have a bit more artistic direction on that. So I'm going to do like a HF paint, and let's place it here. Let's hide everything else, and let's create this one, and let's play with this. So what I like to do is to have more or less like this shape. Now I can just make the value to 0, make it like smaller. And because this we have like this float value of the mask, we can actually do is to come here to the value and put like, for example, 0.3, and just have this mask of 0.3 around this island. So we have like this mask 0.3. We can have like this as being like a 0.5, and have like this, so we have more fading entrance for that. Yeah, I think we can start with that and see what we have. Okay, so now that we have this mask, we can place a HF noise. We can have like this. Okay, so what I want is actually not the center noise, and also instead of having this, I want to have this, and let's decrease the amplitude. You see why this is flat is because of the size of the element. Sometimes the noise is just too big for that, so